Hello everyone and welcome to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview of this new video card from HIS. This is the HIS 7970X. We'll start off with a closer look at the retail box. This being a 7970, it features of course the AMD Radeon HD 7970 GPU, which is manufactured on the 28 nanometer manufacturing process, codename GCN architecture that's integrated in the 7000 series of GPUs from AMD. This card features X elements, which is related to the X in the 7970X name. We'll get into those on the back of the box. Features the IceQ X2 cooler, custom designed cooling from HIS. You also get their iTurbo overclocking and monitoring utility, so you can use that software to overclock the video card. This is the GHz Edition, so this card is clocked. The GPU core clock is 1000 megahertz. It also has a boost clock of 1050 megahertz. And bear in mind there is also a turbo version of the 7970X that comes with a out-of-the-box overclock. Also over here on the right, you will notice you get an active mini Displayport to single-link Vga Adapter. You also get Dirt Showdown for free in the box. There's a little code for that. Taking a look here at the back of the box, we have X elements, and essentially they are providing more voltage, more overclocking, and they've actually given you a nice little comparison here. So the AMD reference board on the right versus their 7970X. So they've given you more power, 18 plus 1 PWM power phase delivery as compared to the 5 plus 1 plus 1 on the reference board. Input power, you get two 8-pin PCI Express power connectors, and those are providing additional power to the card as well as to the memory, and that's going to help for more stable overclocks as you are no doubt going to be overclocking this card if you buy it. That's what you should do because that's really what they've designed it for. You get Eyefinity 6 and Eyefinity 5 out of the box with a single card, so thanks to the 4 mini display ports as well as the dual link DVI as well as the HDMI output, you have a few different variations where you can do 5 displays. So there's a good example of how you might make use of 5 displays and putting them vertically and using them for an Eyefinity surround setup. You can also do Eyefinity 6 and actually push 6 displays. Bear in mind you're going to have different functionality depending on what displays you connect. So you can use mini Displayport and dual link DVI in 5 display mode, and you can use the DVI as single link DVI in 6 display mode. And that just means you can't push quite as high a resolution with single link DVI as you can from dual link DVI. On the right side over here we have some LED indicators that are integrated onto the card. So for GPU voltage there's 3 colors to indicate low, medium, and high depending on the load that's on the GPU. You also have 5 different colors that will light up depending on the fan speed, so you can look and immediately tell without listening how fast your fan is running. Green, cyan, blue, magenta, and red indicate the different speeds from low to high. You also have an overheat indicator light, so that will help to tell you if the card does get too warm. You might want to increase the airflow in your case. Also, if you're overclocking, that can lead to more heat, so that will help you keep tabs on that. Finally, some more information here on the right for the IceQ X cooling technology. I'll give you guys a closer look at that once we get into the box, and then of course that iTurbo overclocking software. Next we will take a look inside the box. We have the video card, which is in there, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Down here at the bottom we have some accessories. So you get the HIS driver and software discs. It's usually best to head over to the HIS website or the AMD website to download the latest software, the latest iTurbo software from HIS, and the latest drivers for the latest AMD Catalyst drivers to make sure that you're updated, because that's going to give you increased compatibility and performance in the games that you play. Also here in the box we have a weight lifter, and this is essentially there because this is a fairly heavy card, especially if you're going to be transporting it like that. You want to make sure that it's supported properly, otherwise you can potentially damage your motherboard just from the weight of the card. Again, this is primarily for use with transporting the card if you're going to be doing that, but it will give it some extra support as well. So essentially you got some adhesive tabs on the bottom. You affix that to the bottom of your computer case. This little guy here can raise up to a certain point, it will lock, and then there's actually a button on the top you can push to drop it down or up. This little guy on the side can slide off and you can rearrange it. So if you just have a single card, you can simply raise this piece up to provide the card some support from the bottom of your case, or you can use this on there if you are going with a two-way solution, so that will support both cards. So nice little added feature there to keep your video card and computer protected if you are going to be transporting it. You also get a couple adapters here. So this is a DVI to VGA adapter. So if you have an older monitor that uses analog VGA, you have a 15-pin D-sub connector right there you can use. And here's a nice added feature. Since this card does have actually 4 mini DisplayPort connectors, they have included a mini DisplayPort to single-link DVI adapter right there. And this is an active adapter. So it's really nice to have if you are looking for additional support, especially if you want to do Eyefinity. You can have at least one of these right out of the box, and of course if you need more you can purchase those separately. We also have a Crossfire bridge right there, so if you want to go with a two-way CrossFireX setup, the bridge is included in the box. It is a flexible bridge right there, so this looks like it should fit at least, I'm going to say 4, 3, or 2 slot spacing configurations. Also here you have the driver and installation guide, as well as some additional stuff. So HIS, Power of Gamers. I'm not sure if this is a different disc than what is included on this disc right there, but you guys can check out both of them. Of course, you also get a free copy of Dirt Showdown, and there's a code on the back of here that you can use to redeem that and download the game. You also get a general quick installation guide, and you get an HIS power-up case badge. And here's the 7970X itself. I'm going to start off with a measurement since this is a fairly substantial card. I'm showing about 11 3/4 inches measured from the bracket right there. So give yourself a minimum, I would say, of 12 inches in your case, just to make sure that you have space to get the card in and out, and make sure that you have room for cooling and heat dissipation, because this does have a very substantial array of fins, aluminum fins. They extend the entire length of the card. They start right about here, extends all the way past here, and even beyond the PCB, which you can see in the back here, and then you can see some of the fins extending out over that. Now the PCB, of course, entirely custom designed by HIS, and they've actually given it an additional, looks like about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of height on the PCB over here. You can see your CrossFireX connectors there at the bottom. And I wanted to give a comparison here, since this is a custom design card from HIS, and we always talk about custom cards as compared to reference cards. And I actually have a reference AMD HD 7970 right here, so I'm just going to sort of line that up so you can see the size difference between the cards. It's a little bit taller, definitely a little bit longer than the reference card right there. Flipping around here to the inputs and outputs. Right there, as you can see, the HIS card, which is fully capable of driving 6 displays from the single card. You can see the dual-link DVI connector right there. There's a mini DisplayPort over here, the HDMI down there at the bottom, 3 more mini DisplayPorts, and then you also have this button right here. What that button is going to do is switch between Eyefinity 5 and Eyefinity 6. So again, dual-link DVI right there. With the button, you can switch that to single-link DVI, and what happens when you do that is you actually lose the use of that last mini DisplayPort connector. So, but it does allow you, of course, to switch between 5 display mode and 6 display mode, pushing that from the single card. And then here, for comparison, as you can see, the original 7970, which can push 4 displays natively. You actually do have capability to support additional displays, but you do need the daisy chain capability of DisplayPort 1.2 in order to do that. Just one other comparison metric for these cards while I have the reference one out, and that is for the power delivery. So as you can see over here, the reference card has a 6-pin and an 8-pin PCI Express power connector. The HIS 7970X has 2 8-pins, and that's 150 watts per connector, and that's simply providing more power to the card for the memory as well as the GPU, and that's specifically designed for overclocking, which is really what this card is all about. When you design a card that is this size, you're really aiming for the most heat dissipation as possible. So they've gone with 2 fans here. They're both 89mm fans. Those are going to be directing air down across the fins, which is going to dissipate the heat that's transferred from the GPU to the fins. It's also providing more movement of air across the power delivery area. So you can see actually a lot of phases right there for the power delivery. There's actually a couple more over on this side because with as many as they have, they couldn't fit all of them right there. You also notice there is a metal retention bracket right there, and that's providing some extra support to the card. It's also making direct contact with a lot of the power delivery components, such as the MOSFETs, and that's going to provide some additional heat dissipation for those. Speaking of heat dissipation, the primary generator of heat in a video card is going to be the GPU, and for that we have an array of heat pipes. So you can actually see two on this side. You see a 6mm heat pipe going all the way out to the end right here. You also have an 8mm heat pipe going down to the area of the card closer to the inputs and outputs. Over on this side we have more heat pipes. These are separate, so you get a couple more 6mm heat pipes here, and then you have another fatter 8mm heat pipe right there. And that is for the GPU. Again, this is a GHz Edition card, so the GPU runs at 1000 megahertz. The card has 2048 stream processors. Also, I didn't mention memory yet. You get a 3 GB frame buffer, GDDR5 video memory, and that's running at a 1500 megahertz effective memory clock, which gives you 6 gigabits per second of speed between the memory and the GPU. Also, the interface of the memory, 384 bits, so that's really going to help out with turning on the higher-end eye candy, anti-aliasing, anisotropic filtering that you get with today's modern games. HDCP has really done a lot to sort of over-design the card to make sure that you get lots of heat dissipation. They've also added some nice touches, like you can see they've actually shielded your DVI ports there on the back, so some nice attention to detail there. If you are going to be installing this in a computer that you're already setting up, or if you're setting up a new build, bear in mind that HDCP is recommending at minimum a 500 watt power supply for the card and your entire computer. And of course, if you're planning on adding more components or possibly going to CrossFireX in the future, it's always nice to have additional power on top of that recommended 500 watts. I want to come back to the display outs again, just to point out the Displayport 1.2 outs that you see down here at the bottom are capable of pushing 4K resolutions. That's 4096 by 2160. And then the dual link DVI right here can push up to 2560 by 1600. As compared to the shroud style cooler that you have on the 7970 reference edition right here, which is primarily enclosed, you should bear in mind that the cooler here is an open design. It does have a shroud over the top, but the air is going to be ejected on the outside of the card into your case, so bear that in mind. That does provide a lot of good cooling for the GPU and the video card itself, but that can raise the ambient temperature in your case, so make sure you have plenty of airflow. The shroud that's going over the top area here does have an X across the middle with the HIS logo. Get the IceQ X2 right there, and another big X in case you're forgetting that this is the 7970X from HIS. Also should point out you have your PCI Express connector down there at the bottom. This card is of course fully PCI Express Gen 3 compliant. That doesn't mean that you need Gen 3. You can of course still install this video card into an older build if you have, I'd recommend at least PCI Express Gen 2.1, but even 2.0, it's really just a bandwidth increase you get with PCI Express Gen 3, so you really aren't going to suffer much of a performance hit if you are going to install this card in an older system. Finally, I wanted to give you guys a quick view of the card from this side, and that's simply because in most computer builds, this is the side of the card you're looking at, so you get a nice view, you get an HIS logo on the side, as well as a nice view of those heat pipes. That's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Once again, this has been the HIS 7970X video card featuring the AMD Radeon HD 7970 GPU. I'm Paul with Newegg TV, and if you enjoyed today's video, you can head over to our Newegg YouTube channel, and of course, don't forget to subscribe for more tech videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.